Before we get into the podcast, I just want to let you know that my free meditation course is available for instant download below. So, if you'd like to get started with your meditation journey and learn the very same meditation technique that I use on a daily basis to calm my anxious thoughts, release my tensions, and relieve my daily stresses, then click below and download my free meditation course now. And if you want to work with me personally to uncover your authentic self, discover your purpose, and start the journey to your dream life, then click below and apply to my Ultimate Dream Life Blueprint course. And in this course, you'll work with me personally to start the journey to your dream life. So click below and apply now. Hello and welcome back to Deep Topics with Shaun. I'm your host, Shaun, and this is episode 9 of the podcast. I'm so glad and grateful that you've joined me here today. And if you like Deep Topics with Shaun and you'd like to receive notifications for upcoming episodes, then please make sure to subscribe to this channel, whether you're watching on YouTube or listening on Spotify. In addition to that, if you like this episode, please leave a like or stars, as well as a comment or review down below, letting me know what you thought of this episode, whether you agree or disagree with anything that I've said, or is anything that you can relate with that I've shared in this episode. Please leave a comment or review down below and let me know. Let's start a conversation about that. So, as you can see, today's episode is a bit different. I've changed the setup and I'm experimenting with more scenes and compositions in my apartment, and I'm really trying to figure out what type of composition works best for the podcast, and also trying to get some ideas for my YouTube channel. And based on what I'm looking at right now with this view of Table Mountain in the background, I really think that this is an ideal composition for my YouTube channel as well. So I'll be sure to set this up and let's see how many videos I can make by the end of August, because I'm really excited to start that project, which I have been putting on hold for quite a long time. But seeing that the podcast is up and running and I really got into the flow of how to do these podcasts on a weekly basis, it has made it way more easier to not have to apply much thought to this particular channel anymore, and continue the rhythm and the flow of sending out the podcast every week, and start to put more thought into my YouTube channel and what types of topics and segments that I'm going to create on that channel. Also, from last week's episode, I spoke about a bit of a bit of personal challenges that I've faced, particularly in my life and with regards to my family. And I want to maybe close that topic or maybe revisit it at a later stage. But for now, what I can say is that from what I've said last week, it has really been a very healing week for me. And one thing that I recognized was that there are certain areas of my body that are holding certain emotional states. And often these emotional states, when I put my attention on those specific areas of the body, what often comes up are specific memories associated with that emotional state. So, for instance, I've noticed that there are areas around the right side of my chest and the mid torso, around the area of the liver, that have a type of tightness or tension in that particular space. And when I put my attention on that, what I see is that I get these memories, flashbacks, and also like imaginings of very angry scenarios with various people. So something that I'm beginning to learn is that from all of the betrayals and injustices that I've faced with with my family members, one thing that's been evident throughout that time is that if there's one thing that you can trust your family members to do, it's to betray you, because they don't have boundaries and they don't know how to keep to their word, and they don't know what discretion is, and they don't know what privacy is. And so mm, they don't know what trust is, and they don't know what respect for themselves is, and they don't know what self-love is. And to all of this extent, something came up recently. I was having a conversation with my mom, and I was talking to her about particular people in my life that have really brought me down. Because remember, one thing that has been showing up over this time is that the people who have been the most critical, belittling, and not even hard on me. The people that have been the most against my prosperity and growth have been some of my family members. So when talking to my mom about some of these people, I brought up particular events. Okay, this, remember that time that I was coming from Durban, and one of my aunts said that she completely tried to diminish my accomplishments and was suggesting that anybody could have done the level of academic excellence that I did, and that really kind of diminishing the awards that I just had received a couple hours earlier. And her response, my mom's response, was that, well, when she was in school, she didn't reach that level of particular grade, and so she doesn't have a sufficient understanding of the type of effort that it takes to get into that. And another example that I use is that, um, remember with that time when I spoke to my grandmother about an international trip, and my grandmother was not supportive at all, but instead started to bring out the problems, or not even things that I was thinking of, but things that she was thinking of. For instance, how are you going to pay for that, and uh, you can't afford it, and all of those things, as if she knows my budgetary status. And my mom's response to that was that, in her mind, she has certain beliefs about trips, and she doesn't have an understanding of how you could do something like that. So the trend that I'm starting to see is that, um, um, particularly with the conversation that I had with my mom, she cannot see that those family members were wrong in what they did, and instead will rationalize and justify their problematic behaviors as if it was inevitable, and if it was, there was no other way around that. And so I learned from that conversation that I cannot expect my family members to come around on any of my perspectives of what happened, because in their minds, the way things went were right and true. No matter how painful or degrading or disgusting or malicious people's actions were towards them, they have the sense of like, um, they take responsibility for the wrongs that have been done to them. And it's very, very weird. It's super fucked up and super weird. So I learned from that conversation that I cannot seek for my mom to understand how the family members have continuously, year after year, sought to degrade, diminish, bully, isolate me, and instead I should maybe not even have those conversations with her. Maybe those are the types of conversations that I should be having with a psychologist or a therapist. Because seeking, one thing that is so comforting is that when we look at our family members and we seek to get their affirmation and validation about things that we've experienced in our lives and our particular perspectives, but what you'll find with like dysfunctional families, or what you'll find with families where there's undiagnosed mental illness, is that they often don't see the light. They're not seeing the light, because seeing the light would mean that their way of living must be confronted, and they're not prepared to confront their way of living. Because something that I've also learned is that people often don't want to think deeply about things. And me having thought deeply about things have actually brought some very great and significant challenges in my life. And I've confronted the depths of despair and sorrow and darkness, and have often recognized some uncomfortable truths about my life that I would not have recognized had I not sought to delve into the depths in the first place. So, one thing that I've recognized from my entire dynamic with my family members is that continuous like diminishing and betrayal, and not having boundaries, and seeking to degrade and diminish, and my accomplishments and my successes and my achievements, they're completely overshadowed. When I talk about great and wonderful things, they have a blank look on their face, like they don't know they don't know how to respond to that. They have this idea that because of my background, remember, I grew up like very poverty stricken. So they have this idea that it is surprising for me to do great and wonderful things in the world. And they also have this approach of like, well, we can't do this. How can you do that? And I'm continuously recognizing that I'm not like my family members. And that is something that I should come to grips with. That it is because of the active contrast that I've done internally year after year since my birth that has helped me survive, but also distinguish myself from some of the challenges that they have faced generation after generation. One of those challenges that they have faced generation after generation is don't shine too bright, don't dream too big, don't go too far, um, don't do too much, don't be seen. And, I've said, fuck that. I'm not interested in your perspectives. And I also don't give a fuck anymore about being associated with you in a family sense if it means that I must diminish myself so that you can be satisfied with your mediocrity. And there are things that I want to do in this world, and there are goals and dreams that I have for myself, and no amount of criticism or judgment from people who don't know what it's like to be me is going to stop me from doing that. And if there's anything that I've shown over the past few years, over the decades that I've been alive, is that I will continue to thrive and flourish regardless of what people think about me and regardless of what people say about me. Yeah. And another thing that you have seen is that I've worked in some super fucked up environments where you expect to go into those spaces being a super smart and capable person, um, only to find like insecure and only to find insecure people who don't know how to come to grips with that someone is bright and shining and capable. And instead of allowing me, not even allowing, instead of having me do the thing that I signed up to do, they seek to continuously degrade and disintegrate the efforts and actions until I'm mentally checked out and don't give a fuck anymore. So I've seen that happen. And based, if you've been following my journey, you've probably also seen that happen. So, this space that I'm in right now, it's a complete don't give a fuck anymore about these stupid fucked up people, which I like that term now. Don't give a fuck anymore about these stupid fucked up people. Because one thing that I've also seen is that compared to some of their approaches to life, they can sound like they are healthy, whole, and functioning, but actually they're not. And I'm talking about normal people, I'm talking about colleagues, I'm talking about friends, I'm talking about family. The way that they approach things can appear to be normal to the average person, but I'm not the average person. And so I have this view of being able to see your deepest insecurities and tragedies and weaknesses and flaws and all of these things that people overlook. I can see that. I can see how you're broken inside. And because I can see how you're broken inside, it has scared a lot of people that I've worked with. Because one thing that I've recognized, especially in this recent space that I've worked with, is that they were doing this thing where they would talk about, yeah, it should be like that, it should work that way, but it never did. And so they were living in a fantasy world, and every time I brought to their attention, hey, stupid person, you're living in a fantasy world, they instead would tell me, oh, the level of directness is not aligned with the culture. Go fuck your culture. I'm sure if you read all those Glassdoor reviews, you can see that there's a cancer there. There's a deep illness in those spaces, and there's a cancer there, and nobody's treating the cancer. So one thing that many things, not one thing anymore, many things that I continue to recognize is that shining your light, it needs to happen. It needs to happen. You cannot be a stupid fake person all your life like I was in the past. I was a stupid fake person for most of my life, and I was really following what I thought was good, right, and true from people who didn't know what the fuck was going on in physical reality. People who failed at their hopes and dreams were advising me on how to succeed in life. What the fuck type of stupid shit is that? It didn't work. It didn't work. And if you've been present for my challenges and my trials and my tribulations, you've seen that it didn't work. Like when I was working at Unilever trying to be a manager, not knowing why the fuck am I doing that, it didn't work. It didn't work because I didn't understand what does a manager do? Why is everyone trying to be a manager? I don't know. I don't know. And it's not that I didn't understand the work. It's not that I didn't understand the complexities and the dynamics of management. It's that people were aiming for a goal that they did not understand the relevance and significance of that goal. But they were aiming for that goal because everybody was aiming for that goal. And so, what is that other than being a sheep? Too many people are being a sheep and thinking that that is how life goes. Sorry, you're going to end up depressed. Like I was depressed and suicidal. And even some of my family members to this day think that me being depressed means that something's wrong with me. No, it's because I asked the question of what am I doing here? Then when I went to that other space in Joburg and tried to do the same thing, it didn't work again because I recognized that continuously putting on a different type of persona to fit in these weird cultures, it doesn't work. The thing that works is your authenticity, being yourself. Being yourself works. And unfortunately, what I've seen from some of these environments is that don't be yourself is the way to survive and thrive, not the way to survive and thrive, the way to get that money at the end of the month. Working in corporate is not about surviving and thriving. And the people that end up doing well in corporate are often fake. They put on a shell of themselves before they enter that organization. And that's the way that they continue to earn that paycheck day after day. But nobody really is living a fulfilling and meaningful life. And nobody is really aligned with their purpose. And nobody is really enjoying their job. And everybody after work is seeking to drown out their sorrows and escape their lives. So, what type of life is that? Really, what type of life is that? And the other thing that I saw in this recent space that I was in was that the complete culture of building the organization was completely eradicated by the new HR, so that none of the attributes or traits that were involved in building that organization are present in that organization anymore. That's a way to kill the entrepreneurial vibe. How is nobody aware of that? How is nobody aware of that? The very same traits and attributes that were used to grow the business are no longer acceptable and allowable in the culture of that organization, and that the specific individuals are shielded from the culture because they've been there since before the culture was put onto paper. I remember sitting in a meeting with somebody talking about culture, and then for every month after that, they continue to show how they don't align with any of those cultural values, but they themselves were shielded from aligning with those cultural values because they seemingly are like being shielded by the corporate structures. So that was very weird and fucked up. It's like your parents telling you not to do something, and then they do it, and you see very clearly that they're doing it. And so the actions are not matching the words. So I met hypocritical values, and hypocritical values never really made me feel good about working with specific people. And, I, over this time, refused to believe that working with stupid, fucked up people is the way to live life. You have to go into these spaces and pretend to be something that you're not. And it's seen as a way to survive. Like, when did putting a shell or a mask on your face be deemed acceptable way of interacting with people? When was that a thing? When did that become a thing? All for a couple 10,000s? No, thank you. And then the other thing is that they like when you're doing your wellness day and everybody's bragging about their chronic illnesses, it's seen as a trophy and a badge of honor. What the fuck type of attitude is that? Is everybody proud about being sick by working in your organization? I'm not understanding how that makes sense. How are your illnesses, how many cigarettes you're smoking a day, how many cups of coffee you're drinking, how many medications you're taking, you're proud about that? What the fuck is going on? Oh my God, the amount of weird things that I've seen over the past 5 years of working in some stupid, fucked up corporate spaces. And not just that, the amount of weird things that I've seen just by interacting with people that are just asleep. And I wonder really if meeting people that are asleep but appear awake, it's what is that? And it does not look like that's a recent thing. That it looks like that is a way that people have been doing things for thousands and thousands of years. I love, I engage in all of the religions, and one of the quotes from the Bible, that one of the Jesus quotes is, "Let the dead bury the dead," and it appears that the average person living their monotonous, routine, rat race cycle life is considered to be dead in spiritual terms. Is considered to be dead. How many of you watching this or listening to this are actually dead inside? That's even a cultural term, dead inside. You're just going on in your life as a shell of yourself, not knowing really what it feels like to be alive. You really don't know what it feels like to be alive. You're just trudging and, trudging throughout the sludge of daily existence, day after day, thinking, is this what life really is? No, it's not. Do you want to kill yourself? I don't, but I was there, prepared to do it when I thought that that was life was. And people have done suicide in my family, and people have gone to like the depths of mental illness in my family. And one thing, when I'm reflecting on why, what happened to them, they struggle to reconcile that they could simply step out and find out for yourself what is your true authentic life. Step out. Don't be constrained by the mental ideas fed to you by stupid fucked up people. Step out and ask yourself, is this what life really is? And most people don't have the courage to do that. But it looks like, I learned this today, courage is a skill. You build it, you develop it, you grow it. So build the courage to step out. Don't be like the stupid fucked up people who are just proud to list all their chronic illnesses. Don't be like them. Don't be this like the stupid fucked up people that put on the fake face in a professional setting and speak a bunch of words that make them sound like they know what the fuck is going on. Don't be like them. Don't be like them. They're not cool. It's not cool to be normal. It's actually tragic. It's tragic to be normal. Not only is it tragic, it'll give you cancer. Being normal give you cancer. I don't know if you know that. It'll give you heart attacks and strokes. That's what it'll give you. Don't be normal. Don't be normal. That's what they try to make you feel like you want to fit in with them, but then they're not telling you about how they're so stressed out that they're destroying their body day after day. Why they're not telling you about that? They're not telling you about that. And I was like that in the past. I used to smoke cigarettes. I was smoking weed all the time. I was destroying my lungs. It felt like I hated my body so much that I was really doing the most to fuck it up. And then I snapped out of it when I had the psychedelic experience, and it showed me that the lungs are the organs of respiration and air is the breath of life. And if you're killing your organs of respiration, you really are practicing the extent of self-hatred that you possibly can, and you're calling it pleasure. It never worked. It never worked. So I'm glad to have snapped out of that. And I hope that if you're watching this or listening to this, that you will also snap out of it, because life is not meant to be like that. Like, if you have to struggle a little bit to find your way, it's way better than trying to be like the stupid fucked up people who are seemingly normal but are actually bogged down by undiagnosed mental illnesses and all of these chronic illnesses and all of these addictions, and they really hate their lives and they're longing for the sweet relief of death. So don't be like them. Don't be like them. Take it from me, who's i've I've really I've gone through the circles of hell. I really have. I was born in hell. I was born in hell. Didn't I tell you that I was born in a chaotic and volatile household where there was screaming, arguments, and fighting every day for like a whole 12 to 18 years of my life. That was hell. I grew up in hell, and then I recognized that you can come out of that. But you have to separate yourself from the people that are making it normal. You have to separate yourself from the people that are making hellish living normal. And hellish living is suffering, it's pain, it's being treated like you're not a human, it's being lied to all the time, and then being gaslit. It's when your gentleness is seen as a weakness, when your truth is seen as something wrong. It's people who try to make you believe that you're not seeing what you're seeing. And so you must very clearly notice that you, when you're working with people like that, when you're living with people like that, when you're friends with people like that. Like I was friends with people who they would reject me, and I would notice it in the comments that they were making, that they were doing this, and then saying it, they were like, oh no, it's not like that, go fuck yourself. I'm not too much desperate to be aligned with anybody who's asleep. And in this current time, saying the phrasing of like sleep or woke or awake, it can kind of like scare people or make it believe that like it's an overused term, but actually it's very relevant. It's very relevant. And people that are not thinking deeply, they are not thinking deeply, and that's why they continue to be asleep. And when you're asleep, you're easily controlled, you're easily manipulated. So don't be one of those people that are easily controlled and easily manipulated. Instead, be one of those people whose minds are, you know vibrating. Your mind is vibrating with awareness, and you see so clearly that, just looking, you look at that one who has daddy issues, and you think to themselves, you're destroying the lives of people who come into this space ignorant and naive, thinking that they're going to do great and significant contributions, but actually they're going to walk out of this feeling like shit, because that's what the trend is showing, and that's what the reviews are showing. And anybody who's heard anything about this place should be warning people. I have also needed to ask myself the question of like, why did I go into those spaces, those stupid, fucked up organizations? Because I mentioned three of them so far. The three full-time workspaces. When I applied to be working those spaces, I didn't notice that I was going to be working with demons. Only after I got into those spaces did I recognize that I was going to be working with demons. And for the first organization, Unilever, I think that um, I had heard certain things about the managers, and I think that it was something interesting where the manager that chose me to be a part of that team left before I got to that team, and then the demon lady showed up and was the manager at that time. And then I started to hear things about how she would treat the people in the other teams. And then I started to hear things about how other managers showed similar characteristics. And then I started to see the way that whenever she was angry, she would send an angry email filled with feedback of really insignificant things, but were meant to like create this air of dominance and control that I was not fazed by. And so, one thing that I've seen also, these people do their utmost to try to express power over you instead of going to therapy. Yeah, go to therapy. Like person A, B, and C, go to therapy. Stop trying to like talk to HR, and stop trying to send your angry emails, and stop trying to make people feel small. Why don't you just go to therapy? I wonder if HR is advising the management that they can go to therapy and deal with their daddy and mommy issues instead of taking it out on the employees. I don't think so, because the HR is also grateful. They really like murdered gratefulness. Great gratitude was meant to be this thing of like joy and opportunity, and now it's this thing of like somebody has their foot on your head and you must be grateful that your head is not crushed. How the fuck does that make sense? I really don't want this to be my venting session. I really do want it to be an opportunity for me to reflect on the past time and to draw some insights about what's relevant and impactful for me to apply in my life. But before I do that, I want to remind you again that if you want to get started with your meditation journey, then click below and download my free meditation course now. And this is the very same meditation technique that I use on a daily basis to calm my anxious thoughts, release my tensions, and relieve my daily stresses. So, if you want to get started with your meditation journey, then click below and download my free meditation course now. And if you want to work with me to uncover your authentic self, discover your purpose, and get started on your dream life, then click below and apply to my Ultimate Dream Life Blueprint. And when you work with me in the Ultimate Dream Life Blueprint, you'll work with me personally to uncover your authentic self, discover your purpose, and get started on your dream life. So click below and apply now. You know, based on this episode, I'm seeing that there's anger there. There's anger towards others that I've interacted with that have ended up showing me that they're bad. They're really bad people. They're really bad people. I've been around really bad people. Some of my family members were really bad people. They're not good people. In this age, we have this. The Abrahamic religions have taught this false idea that most people are good. That's not true. That's not true. Do not be ignorant and naive to think that most people are good. Most people are not good. Few people are good, and you see it in their actions. Don't listen to the words and think that you know about a person. Look at their actions. From that HR lady who was telling me shit, her actions are bad. And I can see it. I could see it then. I didn't say anything to her because, unnecessarily scare the sheep. But you see that a lot of these people are really bad people. A lot of the people you're working with are really bad people. Do not go innocently, ignorantly naive, believing that you're working with good people. You're working with bad, manipulative people who will take the knife and slit your throat. They will take the knife and slit your throat if it means an extra couple 10,000 for them. And they will do it because they don't have values, they don't have morals, and they don't have ethics. So when they talk about the values and all of those things, the mission and the vision, it's just for show. You must really look at what are the attitudes of the people saying, what are their actions saying, and you must not be misled by the words, because I was misled by the words. I'll truly be honest with you. Like I'm like a good, kind person, and I'm bright, hopeful, wide-eyed, and optimistic. When I go into any type of working space, then I'm there to achieve my goals. I'm there to do my best. And within the very first few weeks, I've seen these people, they feel insecure, and so they attempt to degrade at your sense of self. And the one thing that, let me not give the impression that I've only met stupid, fucked up people that have malicious intent and that are deeply insecure. No, I did mention also that I've met some great and wonderful people. Like I met Shaun Abrams, and I met Lindy, and Frank, and yeah, three people over the past 9 years. Over the past 9 years, I've met three great, significant, truly honorable people. They do have their flaws, but over the past 9 years, I've only met three of them. And you know what? Three people like that is good. It's a good amount. It's a good amount, and it also gives a motivation and encouragement to continue to go on seeking those types of people. And it looks like it's a numbers game. It's a numbers game of like you just have to, you cannot be the type of person that's always like sheltered, because then you're never taking any risk in your life. And so you do need to meet people, you do need to go out there and take opportunities and take risks, etc., etc. But then like 90%, 95% of the people that I've met um, are just so weird. Like I've met people that show a level of connection and authenticity for the time that I'm with them, and give the impression that, hey, yeah, we should connect, but really then don't respond to texts. And their actions show that they only were present when it was convenient, and they're not really truly present. And I've met people that are managing people, but they're really such bad people. How can you be such a bad person and you're a manager? You're hurting people. And that's, you're like, how can you be a manager and you're hurting people, and like 8 people left your team and you still think you're doing a good job? I've met people that like know that there's rot and they cover it up. I've met those type of people. I've met people that know that there's a cancer and they enable the cancer, they feed it. I've met people that like speak the chat GPT values but don't really actionably present those in their daily living and interaction. I've met people that are really hate their lives and hate their work, and only in private spaces will they tell you how they really feel. I've met people that don't stand up for the truth because they're afraid of the consequence of being shunned or isolated. I've met people like that, people who don't have a spine, they don't have a backbone. And throughout all this, in my past experiences, growing up, I've met people that will advise me on things that they really want for themselves. I've met people that tell me it cannot be done, but I've done it, and really they cannot do it, and that's what they're saying. I've met people that told me they take everyone into consideration, but I was there and I was not taken into consideration. I've met people that say they see everyone and then they ask me, "Oh, we didn't know you're here, but I'm here every year." I've met people that tell me that those family members don't like me, but those family members are in the other room. And so, what are you doing trying to create disharmony and strife between your own family members? I've met people that told me that um, the abusiveness that I've experienced is something that I should take responsibility for. Like, what did you do to bring that upon yourself? I've met people, yeah, wow. What the fucked up world are we living in? And let me not suggest that this is new news. I think we've always known this, and I like to. It's resonating with me. The Christ story. The Christ story is resonating with me of how they really like took the epitome of goodness and unconditional love and nailed it to a cross and stabbed it and then watched it die. And you think that this world is different? This world, you must be aware of demonic characteristics that you see in the way people interact. And your nervous system is a human nervous system, which means that it's sufficiently attuned to the greatest levels of sensitivity. And your red flags are actually red flags, and they need you to watch out. Like I've learned that even though you might have been like traumatized by various things throughout your life, that your nervous system never stopped warning you, and it'll give you the warning and you must listen. So one thing that I I keep saying one thing. I need to continue to trust my nervous system and its guidance. And yeah, it's such a great and wonderful opportunity to have a human nervous system that it should not be like destroyed. We in this world we do too much to destroy our bodies, and that type of attitude of one life to live or YOLO, it's like a very satanic view. Because I don't mean satanic in like an evil sense, I mean satanic in the opposite. If God is about treasuring life, then a satanic view is about destroying life. And we won't even get into how mass slaughter is happening and it's being called food. Let's save that for another day. But amongst all those weird things, like where's the light? Where's the light amongst all those weird things? Where exactly is the light? And the light is within yourself. It's within yourself, and you need to cultivate it, and you need to grow it, and you need to shine so fucking bright that you blind them with how bright you're shining that light. Blind them, and don't look back. Don't look back. Just shine so bright that you're blinding everyone, and they're just rattled. They're rattled by how bright you're shining. And don't let anyone bring you down. And one thing also is that sometimes in these organizations, they tell you that it's feedback. Tell them to shut the fuck up. Nobody asked you what you think. Have that attitude. Be rude sometimes. Be rude sometimes is something that I'm recognizing. Be rude sometimes. Tell them to shut the fuck up, and you don't care about what they're saying. I wish I would have told my younger self that, because my younger self listened to too many people who appeared to show up with like remember, they were dressed in sheepskin. A lot of people are dressed in sheepskin, but underneath they're ready to like eat you. Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled by those people. And the way you know those people is, are their actions matching their words? Like that HR lady was telling me about like hurting people. When you look through the laundry list of people that she's fired, and then you think to yourself, no ways that she's completely lacking self-awareness. Surely she knows what she's doing, and she's trying to um, present it as doing one's job. But you don't recognize that doing your job does not shield you from the karmic responsibility of fucking up people's lives. You should put it in your job description that this is a super fucked up environment, and don't apply if you're a human, apply if you're a robot. Like when you tell your employees that you care about them, and then you look at the Glassdoor reviews of how everybody is saying that you're ignorant, narcissistic piece of shit, and then you look at all of the lawsuits and you look at all of the people that have been let go from that organization, you think, no ways you care. Who believes that? Nobody. So don't be fooled by people. And the way you know who you're dealing with is you must look at their actions. You must look at their actions. I have not told this story before, but I worked with somebody who was like a high ranking person, and they didn't understand the analysis. And I gave a spreadsheet, I gave a presentation, and I gave a thoroughly explained document, and they still didn't understand it. And the way that they said they didn't understand it was, they said it doesn't make sense. No, you fucking retard. Your intellectual capacity is just so limited that you fooled them into getting that job, and now you don't understand this analysis, which has been explained not just at the PhD level, which was the spreadsheet. It was explained at the high school level in that presentation, and then it was explained at the preschool level in the document, and you still didn't understand. So when I confronted that high ranking ignorant fat-headed person, they gave me a written warning. They gave me a written warning, a final written warning, and I thought to myself, you know what? I don't even feel bad about receiving this warning, because look at your organization. You're like cancerous and diseased, and you're telling me about being healthy. It doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense being a cancerous, diseased organization talking about health. What I really saw in that instance is that being like them was undesirable. And I mentioned this in a recent post. You need to know when you're, it's actually undesirable to be like them. Like, don't tell me about your culture that's super fucked up. I don't want to be like you. And I should have, I saw many red flags. I even told the manager at the time, you're not the right manager for me. You're not the right manager for me. Just like you are making a decision about choosing me, I'm also making a decision about choosing you, and you're stupid. I didn't say that to her, but I did think it, because clearly this Oxford degree didn't give this person any emotional intelligence. Like, what are any of these people reading that emotional intelligence book? I wonder if they're reading it. They're posting about it on their LinkedIn, but I wonder if they're reading it. I don't think they're reading it. Again, I want to make it clear that this what I've shared throughout this time is really an opportunity for us to reflect on who we're hanging out with, on what types of people we're engaging with. And if you're watching this, then you probably can list many, many people that are not good for you. They're not good for you. And if you continue hanging out with them, you're also going to be proud about listing your chronic health conditions. So don't be one of those people. Make sure that you open your eyes wide about who you're interacting with on a daily basis. And if you don't think that you're worth something, then you're going to continue to be like digging your head into the sand and thinking that that is a type of life that's right for you. Don't do that to yourself. You need to love yourself more, is something that I would tell my past self. You need to love yourself more. And just because you grew up with abusive, fucked up people doesn't mean you need to find more of those people in your life. You know, one thing that has continuously been coming up is that, like, we're seeking um, uh, people that we're comfortable with, and people that modeled to us comfort in the past, even though that may be malicious and destructive. And so it does bring then to my attention, how do you see the stupid fucked up people in the interview? I don't I'm not even interested in like full-time work anymore. I'm not even interested in corporate spaces anymore, knowing what diseased fucking, you know what? I'm not even interested to engage with shells. I don't want to engage with shells and masks. Shells and masks are not for me anymore. There's only so many shells and masks you can engage with before you're wondering, are you a real person? Did you hear what you just said? Did you just tell me something that you yourself are not practicing? How am I supposed to believe that? People that lie to you and then question your ability to discern the truth. Oh my God, I can't believe I was foolish. Yeah, let's reflect. Let's reflect. And there are too many people wearing masks, and many of those people are your family members. Many of those people are your friends. Many of those people are people you work with. And most people are not good. Do not be ignorant and naive in thinking that most people's intentions are good. Their intentions are often aligned with their survival and protecting themselves. And you thinking good intentions of them is completely ignorant and naive. Don't be a lamb that gets slaughtered. Instead, mm, be like Krishna. Krishna knows how to wield a sword, but is compassionate and loving at the same time. You must be a balanced warrior. You must be a balanced warrior, and that's something that I'm proud of. You know, in this past organization, I didn't take anybody's shit. They were dishing out too much shit and I was not taking it. And I'm so proud of how I handled that. I'm proud of that big-headed, stupid, fucked up piece of shit, how I handled that. I told him, you're seeking to be powerful. and it's not working. It's not working. And that other Oxford lady, you, I'm not vibing with you. You're not the right manager for me. You don't even understand what I'm doing. And the HR lady, I was gracious at the end when I did that handover. I should have told her, look at the laundry list of people whose lives you fucked over. And then that other one, I didn't even need to say anything about that other one. Just go read the reviews. Um, but then with the family members, that's something that's concerning me, is because I am going to my aunt's house. I think maybe, hopefully not. Oh God, they say that the best opportunities come when you're not thinking. So just hold the feeling of the ideal self and allow the unmanifest infinite potential to bring you that thing. I don't want to. There are some family members that I really don't want to see anymore. I don't want to see anymore. I want to do no contact, and I want to do permanent separation. Permanent separation with those family members. I don't even want to call them family anymore. I don't give a fuck about you. Can I just peacefully exit your life? Like, can you peacefully exit mine? Actually, and one thing I'm recognizing is that if I always think of the checkpoint or the reference point to be that my family members, then I'll never progress. I'll never thrive and flourish if I always see that as a place to go. So, as much as I love certain family members, there are certain family members that I don't love. And I'm not shameful of, telling that anymore, that I actually don't like you and don't want to be around you. So, fuck off. I want to say that to some family members. And also to not give a fuck about if they like me. That's not something that I'm interested in. It's something that, my grandmother continuously says this about people in her life, oh, that person doesn't like me. That I don't care who likes me or who doesn't like me. What I care about is being myself and living my life. And if I'm being myself and living my life, then that's important to me. And so I'm really starting to recognize that live your authentic life and be yourself. Live your authentic life and be yourself. And too many people are walking around with fear of what do people think about me. But that fear of what do people think about me, like, aren't you just their slave? Aren't you just their slave if you're walking around with what will people think about me? You're continuously curating yourself to be in alignment with what they want. Aren't you just their slave then? Aren't you mentally enslaved to people you don't even know? When you walk out of the house and you think, what do people think about me? Aren't you enslaving yourself to them? When will you be free? Is something that I'd like to ask myself, because I still have those lingering moments of thinking to myself, what are people thinking? Only to recognize that I don't want to care, and increasingly, I don't care. You're not relevant to me. Most people are not relevant to me. Like, if you're my clients, then, one thing that I hope that you learn from this is that you need to be yourself, the way I am myself. Don't come to me, don't choose me, don't work with me if you don't like who I am or what I'm doing. If you don't like the way I'm expressing myself, then don't engage with me. Don't do that. But if you do like the way I'm engaging, then work with me, then join me. Then let's walk in our light. Let's walk in our authentic self. Let's be ourselves. Let's be unapologetically ourselves, truly, wonderfully, the way that the Creator wanted us to be. Let's shine so bright that we blind them. What a nice composition for a YouTube video. Yeah, let me do 3 videos a week for the next 3 weeks. I'll have 9 videos to upload with this composition. Let's make it 10 to 15 minutes each. Let's see how that goes. Sorry for that tangent, but I hope that from this episode we can see that I've learned that most people are not good. Most people are not good, and most people are malicious. They are like rabid. Most people are rabid. They're willing to tear at your flesh. They're not good and they're not kind. They don't have morals and ethics and values. Most people don't. They write it on their marketing material, but they are not doing that. And it makes me more aware that that's why they're putting them on the marketing materials. They're, those values are aspirational. They're not necessarily exemplary. They're not showing you who people are at the time. They're showing you who they're trying to be, but most fall short of that. Even your friends and family, they're not good people. You need to know who are not good people. Know the way they treat you. Know the way they treat you and follow that. Don't follow the words. Know when they make an excuse. They make an excuse. Know that, see it clearly. And be unapologetic about no contact. Like in this recent space that I was working in, when I was done, I was done. I don't care. If I have to pay you X amount of thousands to be released from that contract, I'm gone. I'm gone because you're really so fucked up and destructive. And why would I do that to myself? I love myself. I'm not interested in torture and suffering. Torture and suffering for a couple thousands, don't degrade yourself like that. Remember, I posted that thing about, don't be somebody's coffee table unless being a coffee table is your job. If it's your job, then thrive and flourish as the human coffee table. But if it's not your job, then don't do that. So let's be joyful and optimistic. Um, in any spaces that we go to, we must be our brains must be radiating with awareness. We must be like that. We must be aware. What's happening here? What am I seeing? Remember, see it. They try to tell you that you're not seeing what you're seeing. What am I seeing? If you're seeing cancer, then you must step out of there immediately, because if you don't, it's going to develop for you. If you're seeing disease, you must step out of there immediately. Otherwise, it's going to develop for you. If you're seeing ignorant, narcissistic people with mommy and daddy issues, you must step out of there. If you don't, it's going to become your reality. You're the average of the five people you hang out with. If you're hanging out with stupid, fucked up people, it's a matter of time before you become like them. So step out of there immediately. And if those people are your friends and family, don't go near them. Don't go near them. Stay away from them as much as possible and be unapologetic about it. And we always have that worry thought of like, what will happen to me? You're gonna be okay. You're gonna make it. Even if you have to start from scratch over and over and over, you will be okay. You always will be. You always have been. Look at your life. You have always been okay. It has always worked out, and it will always continue to work out well for you. It might take some time, but it's a matter of time before it works out well over and over and over. And don't be attracted to abusers. Don't be attracted to abusers, because too many people are attracted to abusers. Like that stupid TikTok trend of like this man is singing like praises for this woman, and they have this dumbfounded face because they actually are too much attracted to people who don't like them. Don't be attracted to people who don't like you. People that reject you, why are you striving for more of their attention? Don't be like that. Don't be going for people that don't want you. Don't be going for people that hate you. Don't be going for people that don't want to see you be yourself. Wake up, open your eyes, and thrive in your authentic self. Shine your light so bright that it blinds them. And also know the spaces where where only one person is allowed to shine and it's not you. Don't go there. I was there. There was only space for one person to shine, and even that person, they have such dark energy about them that I wonder if they're shining. I don't think so. Um, what's next for me? expanding my awareness, expanding my consciousness, becoming more of my authentic self, shining so bright, discovering newer and greater levels of shining. Shine bright like a diamond. You know that one. Um, Discovering more of my authentic self, living my purpose, stepping into my purpose, positively impacting the lives of others, being wary about the impact that I'm having, not taking, um, not doing evil, not doing pain, not doing suffering to others, um, seeing the abusers, confronting the abusers, making sure you eliminate it there and then. Don't be anybody's doormats. Don't give them yet another reason to believe that they are fakely powerful. Don't give them yet another reason. Um, be brave, be bold, be courageous, and thrive and flourish in your authentic self. And that's where I want to leave it today. And like and subscribe if you enjoy this podcast. And if you like me and if you like how I speak and what I say, then subscribe for more. And if you don't, then fuck off. Sorry, not sorry. Leave a comment or review down below letting me know what you think of this video. And if you like more of Deep Topics with Shaun, I would love for you to join me in upcoming weeks and for more episodes. So subscribe, whether this is on YouTube or Spotify. And if you want to get started with your meditation journey, then click below and download my free meditation course now. And this is the very same meditation technique that I use on a daily basis to calm any anxious thoughts, relieve tensions, and release my daily stresses. So click below and download your free meditation course now if you want to get started with your meditation journey. And if you want to work with me to uncover your authentic self, discover your purpose, and start your journey to your dream life, then click below and apply to my ultimate dream life blueprint now. If you would like to work with me to uncover your authentic self, discover your purpose, and start the journey to your dream life, then click below and apply to my ultimate dream life blueprint now. Spaces are limited, so make sure to act if this is something for you. Other than that, I want to thank you for joining me on this episode, and I'm so glad and grateful that we're on episode 9, and there's many more episodes to go. You may have or may not have known that this has been my intention since 2019 when I first created the logo for this podcast. I never ended up calling it the Shaun Mahabir podcast. I ended up calling it Deep Topics with Shaun. But my intention with this podcast was to set it up to be mobile and global. And with me just needing the mics, the iPhone, and the ring light, and the laptop, and no matter where I go in the world, I'll be able to do a weekly podcast that needs limited editing. And that's why I seek to set up the composition. Ideally, that's why I seek to have needed minimal interaction is what I'm going for. So I want to thank you again for joining me, and I really am interested to know what you think. So leave me a comment down below and let me know what you think of this episode. Did you like it? Did you hate it? Was there anything you agreed with or disagreed? Or was there anything from this episode that you can resonate with? Put a comment down below and let me know. Other than that, I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And I want to wish you a wonderful week ahead. Take care and bye, everyone.